Thanks, Natasha. That was a great introduction. We have roots going back to the Valley agriculture, so we connected very quickly. I think when I started my co-op, there was 4 of us in an office. I was sitting next to my fellow co-op student. We were shoulder to shoulder for 4 months straight, and that was what, kicked off. So, thank you. I'm here today to talk a little bit about building an AI-first business, what we're doing internally at AI-first Consulting, but also what we're helping other organizations do. And it's been great over the last couple days. I've seen a lot of themes that will probably resonate of what you're going to see here on the slides today. So great chatting with folks. Great to see folks at the kitchen party as well Wednesday evening. Thanks for attending. It was a lot of fun. Oh, thank you. So let's dive in. And just so you know, my background, I'm the CEO and founder of AI First Consulting, but I'm not technical. I guess I may be a builder of not a product, but a builder of an organization. And my background's industrial engineering. So when we talk about continuous improvement, solving problems, like that's the perspective that we come at with AI as well. I'm going to start with a little bit of an activity here. I want you to try to solve this maze as fast as you can. And when you have the answer, I just want you to raise your hand when you think you have it. Josh, thank you. Yeah. Max, all right. Good. You're probably thinking, this is a trick, isn't it? How is AI going to come into this? Now, is that your answer? Good? Probably. It's tough not being able to have a pencil in front of you. But this is the quickest way to navigate through the maze without any backtracking or without crossing any barriers or walls. Did anyone solve it this way? Oh, there we go. Maybe you've seen one of these talks before. Or my favorite, this way. Cutting right through the maze. Now, my guess is, based on the laughter, you probably didn't solve the maze this way. And why is that? Against the rules. We all know at a very young age, I took my kids to Jack Astor's the other week for a birthday, and there's a maze on their placemat, and they either just inherently know or they ask their parents how to do it, and we're just ingrained in doing it that way. And this is a lot like business. You come in as an intern or a co-op, you start at a new organization, and you're trying to feel your way through. What's the culture? How do people work? What are the systems at play? And now, especially with generative AI technologies, a lot of these barriers, these walls are being demolished. That the way of doing things before, sending emails, navigating all these different files, passing things back and forth, going through this maze is being reimagined and reinvented with this new technology. So we talk a lot about first principles thinking at AI First Consulting. And what first principles thinking is identifying the problem that you want to solve. What is that pain point? What's keeping you up at night? Or what is that process that you're trying to improve? And then questioning and challenging every single one of those assumptions. Yes, that process may have made sense 10 years ago. Why are we doing it that way today? Have things changed? Can we reimagine a new way of doing it? So you break it down into the fundamental pieces. What are the absolute truths about this process, the inputs, the outputs, what we're trying to accomplish, and then creating a new solution from the ground up. So one of the best examples of an organization like this would be SpaceX. And they're going to be releasing their IPO, I think, later this summer, and they're going to be valued at close to $2 trillion, one of the top 10 or biggest companies in the world. And they took something that they thought was near impossible and rebuilt it from the ground up, and that's building and launching rockets. And one of the examples here is Mechazilla, which the GIF didn't come through, but they have chopstick arms and they're catching rocket launch boosters, where they originally had to land in the ocean. They'd go, they'd reclaim it, and they asked themselves, well, why isn't that possible? Why can't we do it? And they did it. They built it. So it's up to every organization now to figure out, how do we use first principles thinking? How do we recreate processes, leverage the new technology that we have to rethink how we do our work? When I first started AI First Consulting, it was over 2.5 years ago now, and it started with a lot of research. And one interesting part was AI back in the 90s. And Gary Kasparov, you may have heard the story, he was a chess grandmaster, and he was defeated by AI in the 90s. And he wasn't too excited about that at that time, being defeated by a computer. And so he went back and did a lot of research and digging. And what he found was what was most important wasn't machine speed or human chess talent, but the ability to create the best process to combine the two. And that's what we're seeing right now in organizations as well. It doesn't need to be the smartest people, the smartest team. You don't need to have access to the latest models or the best systems. If you're able to bring those two components together, if you're able to train and do adoption and create that foundation of psychological safety, those are the two main ingredients to see organizations succeed. So that brings us to the first pillar of the AI First House. My background in Lean Six Sigma continuous improvement, you may have heard of the Toyota Way, and they have a house, and this is a big pillar of building an AI organization. And so we call it human AI practice, how well your people partner with AI, individually, as teams, and across the organization. But this is only just one element or one component of the house. And this is what a lot of businesses are looking at, which I think is great. How do your people partner and work with AI? But what a lot of organizations are missing, or at least a little bit slower to adopt, is the design of the organization. What are the structures, the rhythms, the systems that your organization builds to enable, sustain, and transform around AI? Meetings that were done 10 years ago should not be the same meetings that you're having today. If you're just bolting on an AI note taker, that's a good first step, but what are you doing with those notes? What are you doing with those transcriptions? How are you rethinking how meetings are done? A lot of people are just attending meetings just to listen to the information. They're wasting an hour of their day sitting in a meeting when they're only contributing for a minute, or they're just listening. Now with note takers in different ways, we need to rethink how we're doing our work. So just to make this a little bit more simple, if you think about human AI practice, how do people use the AI technology? That's focusing in the work. How is the work being done? But we also need to think about the structures, the systems around the work. How do we support people in using AI technologies? And these two pillars work off of each other. If you have a good org design, if you're, for example, carving off time for folks to experiment and learn and play with AI, enable them to be builders, that design shapes the practice. You're going to get those learning cycles in quicker and faster and enable them. But at the same time, if folks are using AI effectively and responsibly, they're going to contribute to say, you know what, we need to change how we work. And they're going to inform the organizational design. So these two loops are going to work really well together to help provide success for the organization and the people as a whole. Is anyone here familiar with Google's Project Aristotle? Some heads nodding. This was done back in 2012. So when I started my MBA, this was kind of top of mind in a lot of our classes. And does anyone know what the most important factor was in team effectiveness after studying over 1,000 teams through Google? Trust. Trust, but in their terms, it was psychological safety. And we did hear this theme yesterday too in some of the panels. When team members feel safe to take risks, speak up, make mistakes, this was by far the #1 factor in effective teams. So it wasn't how smart are all the individuals, or how they work together. It's like, did they trust each other? Did they have that psychological safety to move fast, to break things, to make mistakes where they wouldn't be punished for taking a risk and taking a chance? Now, these were the other 4 that are still very important, but we're going to talk more about psychological safety because we believe that is the foundation of building an AI organization. We've worked with a lot of folks, a lot of clients right now, and the ones that are taking the biggest steps with AI, they already have that foundation in place. They have people that are okay and feel supported taking risks, trying new tools, trying new technology. That culture is already built in. And folks that don't have that, they're the ones that are going a little bit slower. They're having challenges. They're trying to, fight up against brick walls and are not seeing that progress. So if you already have that, that's great. That's going to be a very key foundation for the rest of your AI journey. If not, it is something to work at. And it's something that you can do now as you're deploying and looking at AI across, is like, how do we continue to build and strengthen this foundation as we go through this AI journey? So we look at this at different levels at the pillar. Whether it's ourselves or looking with different organizations, you have to start somewhere. And we talk about being AI assisted. So that starts with AI literacy, the foundations. What is AI? What are large language models? What's a hallucination? What's human in the loop? What are the fundamentals of how these systems work, what their strengths are, but also what are some of the challenges and risks? And starting with an AI-first mindset. Habits are really, really hard to break. I sit down at my computer, and my first instinct is to type. Where I'm working at home alone, I should be dictating. I should be talking to my computer a lot more because it's that much faster, but these habits are hard to break. So how can you start to think, maybe I should be looking at AI first? Not AI always. It's not always going to be the best solution. It's not always going to be the right way to do it, but it should be your first instinct is to say, how can I leverage AI to do this? And we heard some great examples from the province of Alberta yesterday as looking at an AI solution first, saving 15 months, millions of dollars, because that mindset was already in play. And usually you want to start with individual tasks. So our motto is fix what bugs you. What is that pain? What is something that you don't enjoy doing? This is different for every individual, but if you want to build that adoption and engagement, you need to start with the return on the individual. What's going to help them? How are they going to build the skill sets and build and understand AI in a way that's going to help them, and they're going to continue to explore more and learn and build those skills. On the org design side, I really like the term minimal viable governance that came up yesterday. I think I'm going to borrow and steal that myself. But talking about the AI usage policy, you need something in place. Doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough to get started. What are the tools, the licenses? What's allowed? What's not allowed? How do people go from Copilot Chat Basic to Copilot Premium? Is everyone going to get it? Do they need a specific use case? Having a little bit of that plan in place. And then putting together a guiding coalition. A lot of folks might use the term AI task force. It doesn't matter what you call it, but this is less about the technology and the tools, and it's more about organizational change and change management. So how do you get that cross-functional team that can identify opportunities and help lead the way for the rest of the organization? We move from AI assisted to AI integrated. So it's not just now prompting or prompt engineering. We now have context engineering. How do you make it so you're not getting generic, average, blah answers from AI? You need to give it more context about what you do, what tools you have access to, what's worked for your organization, what's the challenges, what's the background, what's the context, and layering that into your use of AI. And now building these AI-first habits, building off the mindset, so you're always going to AI first. And then moving up from individual tasks to team workflows. How are you working with your team, sharing agents, sharing workflows and automations, and making sure that everyone is brought along the way? On the org design side, we are big proponents of improvement time. Carving off time as a part of your week or sometime every month to just be focused on learning and applying and using these tools. If you're telling your folks to say, just figure it out, AI is going to save you time, so you can just start now. There is that learning curve, there is that challenge, that barrier. So if you have an organization mandate, a way for them to experiment and to play and to take risks, that's going to help. Horizontal sharing. Sharing shouldn't just be from the AI or the tech team or the leaders pushed down. How do you enable it so folks are sharing with each other, where that culture isn't, ooh, AI's cheating, but AI's helpful. AI's helping you save from the mundane drudgery work. And that folks are sharing their prompts, their workflows, their use cases with each other. That's on the organization to help facilitate and not leave it up to the individuals to figure it out themselves. And then we move up from AI integrated to AI native and spreading capability across the organization. We're moving from individual tasks to team workflows to value streams end to end across the organization. And one of the biggest things that we're seeing is how do you build that organizational agility? There's a lot of change coming. We've gone through a lot of change, and I don't think change is going to slow down at all. So how is your organization able to adapt to the change? The individuals, the teams, the processes, and everything. And then you're looking at an AI-first strategy. What is now being enabled by AI that you can act on and act as an opportunity? So this brings us to our house. At the end, we have organizational intelligence. It's not just IQ, it's not just EQ, it's not just AI, but it all comes together as far as helping the organization be more intelligent and have more impact. So we walk through this with 3 different courses. We start with Accelerator, but there's lots of different elements, and you need to build up. You can't just jump right to saying, we're going to be an AI native organization, especially if you've been in business for a while. You need to bring people along for that change. So I have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we work at AI First. So we have a team of 7 now. This was taken at the Halifax Chamber of Commerce, the Halifax Business Awards. We were nominated for Top New Business of the Year. To my knowledge, we are the only Atlantic Canadian firm that's 100% focused on AI integration, but this is what we love what we do, and we're completely heads down on it. And one of the things that we do, and I really liked Matt's point about that 30-day cycle, we have a 5-week improvement cycle as well. So we have lots of ideas. We are not short of ideas at our company, but a lot of times that can kind of distract us. So we have 4 weeks together where we're actually managing our ideas. We're putting some structure to it. We have some design documents together. And at the same time, we are working on our rocks. So we borrow this from EOS. They talk about quarterly rocks. We tried that for a quarter. Things are changing way too fast to do 90-day cycles. So we've shortened it to 5-week sprints. And then we take a bit of a break. This is where, when I say rocks, this is where we're working on the business. We're improving the way how we do things, whether it's our programs and delivery with our clients, or it's how we manage our work internally. But we're going through these cycles for improvement. And then we have what we call a betting table. So it's like, what's going to be the most important? What's the highest priority for us? We'll work on that for the next 4 weeks. We'll come back. Priorities may have changed, and we'll go through this process again. And this enables us to go through 10 5-week improvement cycles. So if you're doing annual planning or just quarterly planning, we're able to pivot and adapt quicker. Also, one of the key things that we're doing at our business right now is we have a 4-day work week. Kind of. We work 5 days a week, but we only do client work on 4 of those days. Fridays we save just for improvement. So how do we work on the business? How do we improve our programs? How do we improve how we communicate and build internally? So we're focused on clients from Tuesday to Thursday. Monday we're doing some prep, some business development, some other things, team meetings, get everyone aligned. But we carve off Fridays specifically for improvement work, or maybe speaking at AICon. But the rest of my team, they're off doing improvements right now. And this has been very, very helpful for us because we have that time carved off. Before, we were trying to do it in between client engagements, and it's not urgent. It's very important, but if a client comes to us with something, we're going to work with them first. So this has enabled us to do more in our time. We kind of borrowed this from Google. They had the 20% time. That's where a lot of their innovative products came from, and we're seeing more organizations come back to that, carving off this space and time. So you might not be able to do this on a full day on a Friday, but I encourage you to think, how can we carve off time, whether it's every week or every month, bring folks together to be able to build. We also don't have an organizational chart. We have an accountability chart, and this is borrowed from EOS as well. And this gives folks autonomy to leverage AI to help in their area of the business. So I like the term yesterday. I heard human on the hook instead of human in the loop. We practice something similarly. We can't just let our lead AI developer build everything for the entire organization. He doesn't know the challenges, the pain points, the problems. Everyone should be in charge of that themselves, and then use the technical expertise to build on that and to improve throughout the organization. This is just a mock-up, just so you know. The names and the positions are correct, but the actual gaps identified and skills built was just made for this presentation. We also have our own custom CRM and dashboard. So in professional services, in consulting, CRMs aren't necessarily built for us. There's capacity planning, there's projects, there's different things that you need to be aware of. So we decided to build our own. And it integrates through an MCP with Claude. So if I want to update my CRM, I can pull out my phone, open Claude, and dictate about a specific opportunity, and it will add it to our dashboard. So this has been very helpful. We're connecting to different systems, and we're able to see our organization on one chart and how it's working and how we're doing. So very quickly, this is how our tech stack works together. A lot of integrations here. We're using Microsoft Office and Copilot a lot. but Claude is often our first point. We're using Linear to track our tasks, so we're able to open up Claude, and we have team subscriptions throughout, and we're just saying, do this, do that, take these actions, and it's connecting to all of these different systems. So whether it's finance, our learning, capturing knowledge, we have AI note takers, so we're bringing that all to the table. This has helped get rid of a lot of the drudgery and administration in our work, so we can focus more on the high-value tasks. AI will change your organization. There's no question about that. The question is whether you're going to design it or watch it happen. So if you have any questions, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, our website, aifirst.ca, send me an email. If you're interested in taking an AIQ quiz, you can scan the code there, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.